Hi everyone, welcome to I'm Recruiter podcast. I'm your host Prafula Deori. I'm Recruiter is a community created by and for talent acquisition professionals. Our vision is to build a leading global community for TA professionals. Mr. We have a very special guest. So her name is Bharti. So Bharti is a seasoned talent acquisition leader with impressive 20 years track record. Bharti is currently at the helm of HireMap IT Consultant, which is her own organization, and her expertise lies in sourcing, strategy, and negotiation. She holds a degree in BTech, BBTech, and has achieved remarkable feats, including scaling teams at Flyin.com, Optics, and establishing Apex Sales Office of June. Before her professional achievement, Bharti finds joy in reading and credit spirituality for profoundly impacting her life. So, welcome Bharti to I Am Recruiter podcast, and we are really glad to have you in our show. So, why don't you quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah. First of all, thank you, Prafula. Thank you for inviting me to your podcast. It's my pleasure and honor to be here. To give you a background about myself, I'm a Bangalorean. Did my engineering from BMS. I mean, when I was there in my campus, I was very clear that engineering was something like I really didn't enjoy, right? I just started on and then like I wanted to finish it. My parents asked me to finish what you have started, and I finished it. When I was on the campus, like I was very clear that I did not want to get into engineering. But then when I was there in my final sem, like there was lot of companies which were coming for the campuses, and I got an opportunity to interact with couple of HRs in the campus, and I thought over a little bit and thought like the 4 years of engineering what I have done would be of a great value if I can get into a technology hiring space. And I mean, it was a boon that I got an opportunity with a startup consulting firm way back in 2003, wherein like we were helping companies in US, different parts of Europe, in finding the engineering talent from India. That was my very first assignment which I took up. And after that, like I went into the corporate world with Now Infosystem, where I was there about close to about like 4 years. I mean, the opportunity that I got in the initial pace of my career actually helped me to identify the internal qualities of an entrepreneur. 4 years in the corporate, not really that kind of great satisfied with the overall capabilities of me. And 2010, I started my firm HireMap with a very clear vision for my organization that I genuinely want to solve the challenges of the customers, because as an organization or as a corporate recruiter, when I was sitting in the corporate firm, I was not really greatly satisfied by the service that I was getting. And when I did a deep analysis, like there is really an opportunity for the recruitment firms to deliver that kind of a quality service. And I started in 2010 with a very clear vision on that. And the journey has been not really a smooth ride. It had its own ups and downs. I mean, my internal motivation, internal drive has never been set apart. Okay. And then 13 years of my entrepreneurial journey helped more than 25 to 30 startups in scaling up their engineering team and sales team. Most of my projects I've worked with founders. And whatever I am today, I really owe to the people that I have met throughout my journey. People have helped me to shape myself and my business. And I'm really having a lot of gratitude for the universe for helping me to connect with amazing people in the last 13 years.
That's really inspiring, Bharti. So, just to deep dive a little bit more, right? You were born in what in Bangalore itself?
Yeah, Profile, I have not really gone out.
Okay. So, like again, like most of the time, right? Students or like the children join engineering because of their parents, right? Was it similar for you as well?
It was my intention to join engineering. I mean, I passed out my plus 2 in 94.
Okay.
Okay, and
Okay.
I was academically a very bright student. And way back then, like if you are very good in your academics in your 10th, you are supposed to take science. And if
Yes.
you're doing
Yes.
really well, then either you have to become an engineer or a doctor. So medicine was something like I was not really comfortable on. I couldn't with I mean, I cannot withstand the blood or the cut. So that was kind of really given up. Then what is left for me? It is engineering. And I mean, that's the reason I was able to get into BMS. I joined there, but then, like, once I joined in my very first and the second sem, like, I really did not enjoy the subjects. And somehow, like, I finished my 4 years of my engineering, but it was a great journey. Today, like, if I really think on, okay, the 4 years of the life that I spent in that campus and learned those subjects has really helped me to become a better engineer and a better business person. So thanks to my parents for compiling me to complete my engineering.
Yes, great. Thank you. So another question which I have here is definitely when you have done engineering and when you become a recruiter, that too in a IT sector, right?
Yeah.
You tend to understand things a little bit more clear, right? So was it
Yes.
helpful for you in general when you started your career, then become an entrepreneur? Was it helpful because you were an engineering student?
Yeah, definitely, Prafulla. The logical part of it had really, I mean, the seeds were sown during my studies, which actually helped me in my very first assignment, right? Like, I started with a consulting firm, which was again a startup. Okay, not really, the learning system was not there. I mean, I always tell Google is my first mentor. I started off with the SAP requirement, wherein like I did not know what SAP was, what is technical consultant, what is functional consultant, which are the different modules. Yes, Google is my first guru and it helped me to understand. I mean, I was really able to understand that because there was something which was sown in my brain in the last 4 years. And definitely I can tell you, even today, like when I really start an assignment with a new project. Yesterday, like I had a opportunity to work with one of the he's on their sales team. So I mean, my 4 years of engineering helped me to understand one or two mechanical subjects which I studied during my first year, helped me to understand my conversation with my mechanical friends, helped me to understand what's a turbine, how the blades work. Okay, all those things I was able to. Definitely it has really helped me and made me a better person.
So when you started as a recruiter, right? So and you are currently an entrepreneur, right? So how do you see recruiter to be successful now? How someone can become a better recruiter from your entrepreneur landscape? Or like
Yeah.
how do
Yeah.
you see?
Uh, Two things mainly I can tell you, Prafulla, which has helped me to really being alive in the business. As you know, recruitment is a business where there are more than hundreds of companies which start every year and more than 95 companies close at the end of the
Yeah,
year.
yeah,
I'm able
yeah,
to sustain, I'm able to grow in the last 13 years mainly because of two things. One is curiosity, right? Like be that new, always have that curiosity in understanding what your customer is, what the business of the customer is. Okay, and the second thing is be comfortable to say no when something you're not capable enough to do it. Okay, and one more thing which has really helped me with with these two basic things which I have followed. The third thing which has been there is ask for help. And I mean, whenever I pick a new assignment, I demand the hiring manager or the founders that I work with to give out their time and help me to understand their what is their business and what is the role that I have to hire for them. How is that going to influence the business, right? I mean, as a recruiter, I mean, I don't really work with companies which just gives you the job description and ask you to work on it. It is not just like, okay, go and look for someone with Golang, AWS, or with some microservices experience. Okay, product line this guy would be working on. Where is your business? Okay, is it at a very early stage or is at a scaling pace? I mean, as a recruiter, like you also know, right? people who have worked in a very early startup who does not really have that experience, or who have built a product to handle that scale, would not be able to fit into a company which is at a scaling pace, right? Or
Yes.
even someone who has worked in large organization where the process is kind of set up, well defined requirements are there, but in a startup that is not there. I mean, there is lot of conversations which would be going on, and an engineer should be patient enough to go back and rewrite those codes again and again when the business persons come back to you and then tell you about the what the customer is really wanting. So it is very essential for a recruiter to keep alive the curiosity throughout their journey, and never hesitate to ask a question, and when you're not comfortable enough to do, say no.
Yes, great. I can definitely relate these things, whichever you have mentioned, Bharti. Recently, as a community, we have done a TA meetup in Hyderabad. And
Mhm.
one thing what we asked about 100 people was to say what are their challenging thing in their personal and professional life, right? And many people have told all these points, whichever you have mentioned. Many people struggle to say no, right?
Mhm.
And many people feel difficult to ask for help or ask question, right?
Mhm.
And many people mention about business acumen, right? So
Mhm.
how do you think, how what is the good way to say no to someone, right, when you are not comfortable, when you are not capable in that particular time, right? So
Mhm.
what is a good way and a good approach to say no, because you have a huge experience and our audience is wide range of experience, so it will be definitely helpful to know from you about those answers.
Personally, if I have to tell you, Prafulla, I have understood myself very well. What are my strengths? What are my areas that I need to work on? Okay. And I have been very authentic with whichever the communication that I have with anyone. Being authentic is one thing which can give you a great space for you to say no, right? Like when you're authentic to any of the relationship that you're going to start, maybe even if it is personal or professional, right? Like, I mean, right from the first conversation, it is very essential, right? It is not that like, okay, I have to get this customer hook or crook. I'll try to get it with all the flary words or the flary languages or the flary things that I'm going to tell, and I'm going to get it. No, it is not possible to sustain that for a long period of time if you're really looking to build a relationship with that person or with that organization for a longer period of time. Being authentic is one thing which can really give you that confidence to tell no. And the second thing is like, I mean, knowing about yourself, or if it is from your organization, if you have to deliver, understanding your strengths is very much essential, and the areas to be improved on, maybe something what the customer tells or the other person tells, you're not confident to do it, but then you feel that you might be able to do it if given an opportunity. Then you need to be authentic in telling the person on the other side, telling that, hey boss, these are the things which I have really done before, right? And I've not done what you've been asking me to do, but look at the capabilities what I have, and if you give me an opportunity, I think I can be able to do it. At any point of time, if I need help, I will not hesitate to ask you, and I'll make sure that I'm not going to hamper the deliverables. At any point of time I feel that I am not really comfortable to do it, I'll be upfront, and then I'll tell you that I'm not able to do, so please look for someone else. So
Sure.
this has been my mantras, Prafulla.
Thank you. And even like when you are genuine, when you are authentic, it's much more easy for anyone to communicate as well, right? Because that is how
Yes.
you are, and people
Yeah.
have seen you like that, and it's much easy to express as well. So
Yes.
definitely being authentic and knowing your strength is very much helpful to communicate to customers, stakeholders, or any client as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. So other thing you also mentioned about business acumen, right? Understanding the business and all those things and asking question. So
Mhm.
what is the right way to understand about business? Because you have worked with multiple different startups, right?
Yeah.
And to be successful for yourself as well as the startup, you should know about the startup, the business, what they are into. What approach you take and what kind of question you generally ask them.
Yeah, one of the thing which I have really been that's an inborn skill I can tell you. I mean, which I'm trying to tell you is right from the time that I have been in my college, right? I would like to know whatever I've been doing. I mean, today, when I was speaking to my friend, I mean, my college friend, I was telling him, like, I never thought that I'll be an entrepreneur because, like, I was not what I am today, right? I don't know how did I acquire these skills. But he was telling me, no, you didn't know that. But we on the other side always knew that, like, you were a person who were asking the question on why you are supposed to do. Only after knowing why you will be doing
You are
that.
clear.
You own, and you own that responsibility. I mean, even when we were like carefree, and then whenever we went for trips or anywhere, any kind of an thing that we were doing it, you were the one who was taking responsibility without your knowledge. So these were the two things I can tell you. And on the business part of it, right, these were the two things which actually gave me the foundation for that. And the people that I met, right, always helped me to understand, because of the curiosity and the questions that I was asking in, they were actually helping me to understand the complete business model of it. And if you really look, what are the essential skills for a recruiter? If you go back and think, okay, we are the people who are the bridge for the who are bridge for the stakeholders. That actually makes you to connect between two people. When you are connecting between two people who are unknown to each other, until and unless like you know of both the people, okay, what are they doing, you cannot really bridge them, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
you need to understand the business right from what the product is, who the customer is, understanding the business model of the product that you have been selling to the candidates on the other side. I mean, the salespeople sell either the product or the service, we sell the job. So it is very
Yes.
essential for us to understand the business model. And as a recruiter, we try to understand the candidate, right? Without our knowledge, we are acquiring the business skills, right? You
Yes.
understand, okay, this is a X company, this is at this stage. I cannot approach a candidate who is there in another plus level company. I need to get someone from here. But even when I'm getting someone from here, he needs to have the skills from A to Z. Only then he can fit into the business. So it is the experience and the people interaction, keeping with, I mean, within our mind, whenever we are making any kind of a connection, making sure that like we know the why part of it, right? That will actually, the why part of it will give birth to a lot of other things.
Yes. Yes. Thanks. So just wanted to understand also another
Just one
thing
second,
is yeah, sure.
I'll just switch on my laptop.
Yes. Okay. So the other question which I have for you is like when you started your journey as an entrepreneur, right? What kind of budget or what kind of monetary requirement was there? Like how much is required to start a business, right? In consulting, right? The reason why I'm asking you this question again, like many people think that it might need lots of money as well, but sometimes it might not be the case, right? So I want from an entrepreneur who have done it, who have seen it. So why don't you quickly share your?
I'll tell you, Prafula, I took 25,000 from my PF.
Okay,
That was my capital amount. 25,000 I paid for Monster at that point of time for six
okay,
months. Okay. I did not add a laptop. Way back, like I started from my living room. Okay. And apart from that, like, I mean, phone every month, like I was paying at that point of time, like 300 or 400 rupees for my phone recharge. Mobile was kind of not really having like today's, like we really have a luxurious plans. Way back, like I had a broadband connection, which was through the dial up connection I had. So my initial capital, to be very precise, it was 25,000. And it took 6 months for me to raise my first bill, which was 15,000. With this 25,000 capital, the first year, the IT filing I did was for 5 lakhs.
Awesome. From 25 to 5 lakh is a huge difference, right?
Yeah, I mean, that is what I did not add. I mean, I'll tell you the reason that I'm telling. Like, if someone wants to start off today, I mean, what is really required is the internal fire within you, that you want to succeed. And I have to really make a difference to my customers business and do quality delivery. And you have to really, not just in your sales pitch, but also in your delivery, you need to show that, right? If I go to Bharti or if I go to Prafulla, like, I might be able to get only 2 or 3 profiles, but those 2 or 3 profiles are really good profiles. And if I don't really send more than 2 or 3 profiles, if
Awesome.
someone doesn't really go till the offer stage in that, like, it's a clear understanding that I have not understood what my customer's requirement is, or the customer has not really communicated to me what their expectations are. So it is only 2 or 3 main points which you need to keep, apart from a small monetary thing which you really have to have.
Okay.
And
And
my
uh,
25,000 has helped me to grow till now.
and in the initial of your phase, did you also went back and registered your business, or like without registering only we can start the business?
I mean, it's really a funny story, and I don't know where my gut was there. I did not register because I did not want to waste the money.
Okay.
Only when I started in Jan 2010, but I registered my company and I started somewhere in April when my first candidate joined. I know that now, like, I need to register that to, like, because it was my first bill was 15,000, and for 15,000, should I register? My client said, no, we want your service tax number. Without your service tax, I will not pay you. So there was a compulsion from the customer. Only then, like, I registered it. I did not register it initially. And I mean, way back then, it was not so easy to register. It was taking 2 3 months. And to be very frank, the early customers which I served from 2010 to 2011, 12 and all, right? Like, it took 3 months, 2 3 months of time for a private limited company to finish all the formalities. So there were couple of companies, like, the registration process was going on, and we were hiring, doing the interviews sitting in a coffee shop or in a business center of a hotel.
Okay. And and currently, since like the startup ecosystem has evolved currently, is it
Mhm.
very strict these days to have every document in place, every license if you need to start any business?
Yeah, today, like, you really need to have a GST even when you're buying your Naukri or any of the portals. Like, if you have, you'll have the advantage. But most of the customer, when you want to raise an invoice, like, you need to have your GST number on your invoice.
Okay. So all the people who plan to become an entrepreneur, as Bharati has suggested, like you definitely need to get your things registered. Plus, GST is important to raise a invoice and all, right? But thank you, Bharati. This is very simple question, but still, I wanted to understand, like from your perspective, how and
Mhm.
like what are the different things people, because many people get stuck with these basic things as well, right?
Yeah.
And if we are able to clear those things, then they can move ahead. And other thing which I wanted to also ask you is like, how did you find your customers, right? Or the clients, right? Because when you started, you might have started from your own network or something, right? How did you expand those reach?
Yeah. I can tell you, Prafula, like, 95% I've grown because of the network that I've built. Okay, initial first 2 3 months I did cold calling, but
Hmm.
it was only one customer that I got through cold calling. The rest of the customers that I served in the first year was through my network, which I had built when I was there in the corporate or before that. But that one customer which I got through cold call helped me to get close to about like 7 to 8 project where I hired right from their first employee for their Indian office.
Awesome, awesome.
The reason that one customer gave me so many reference was the only reason because I was the only vendor to them who was serving good quality profiles with great
Yes.
information about the candidate. So I gave
Okay.
the best possible service to the customer. The hiring manager was happy with the service what I gave to him, and I connected back to the customer, connected back to the hiring manager when he was leaving the organization, and he gave me about like 7 to 8 very big clients for me.
Great.
So
And like,
maintain your
yeah,
quality of work, connect to the people, grow. That's the steps I can tell you.
sure. And when you are talking about networking, right? These days, people are very much into all social media platforms, right? So,
Mhm.
what is the best way to network with people, Bharti?
I mean, I started in the early time through LinkedIn very early, like 2004, 2005, when in India it was not really that kind of very well known. I mean, it is not just the connect button you press and then you forget and you show that like you have 10,000 people in your network, or you have 50,000 people. How many of those 10,000 people really know who Bharti is? Is there any kind of an interaction that you have had through the 10,000 people that you have made the connection with? Have you had, at least now, like online is kind of really very formal? Have you met those people? Have you spoken to those people? Do they know you? That is really essential, Prafulla. I mean, I actively participated in a lot of on offline networks which was happening right from 2010. I think so. Like that was one of the very good thing which happened with me. I started my company when the startup ecosystem in India was starting. OCC was there, Head Start. Okay, your story was also in the initial
Yes.
phase at that point of time. So I actively participated in every network that was happening. As an entrepreneur, being or building that network is very essential. My calendar was like in a week, like more than 4 days, 9 to 5, I am there in one or the other network. And evening, like I used to sit and source. Morning 2 to 3 hours, I was there on the calls. Okay, when I started, when I was a single army person, the whole night I was sourcing. And I mean, I was just thinking, I'm fine if someone doesn't find it good as a recruiter, me calling them at 8 o'clock, but I don't have time. If they are genuinely looking out, they'll answer my call and they will talk to me. So my calls were starting at 8 o'clock. 8 to 10 I used to talk to the fresh candidates, and then through the go, like I was doing the follow-up.
Great. And other thing which I also wanted, definitely networking is important. Any tips you have for young recruiters, like people who are just starting their journey? Like, what is the best way to network? How to start communicating with someone, right? Because everyone are so hesitant because of these mobiles and WhatsApps and all those platforms. They don't feel like talking to people directly, right? How to break those ice between anyone to start a conversation?
Yeah, the first thing, like, I mean, I was talking to another HR in one of the recent SHRM event which happened. That's what, like, she was asking me, how you've been telling that you've grown because of the network. I'm finding it so difficult to talk to unknown people. How did you do that? Like, I mean, I said her, like, okay, the first thing is showing up, whether you're interested or not. And the first thing is like that there is an event is happening, and that there are people who are attending who is of your similar interest, or you are interested to have a connection with them. Identify those events first. And the second thing is make an effort. The first step is showing up in those events. Don't really keep too much of expectation that, okay, I have to go and I have to make 10 connections or 20 connections, or I have to really handshake with everyone who is there. That's not possible. If you are in your initial pace of getting to build your network, the first thing is showing up in those events, right? And if possible today, like, I mean, it is not like before in the early time where we were not knowing who are the people who are attending. But today, like some of the events, you get to know who are the people there, who are the people attending for those particular networking events. If possible, try to connect with them offline. On LinkedIn is a great tool for you, for all of us today. It is solving one of the biggest challenge of making connection. If you're if you really want some kind of a stage to be set for you to go and do the handshake in the event, maybe try to connect with people who are attending. If that is not possible, suppose you don't know who are the people who are going and attending, go there and try to make a conversation. It is okay if your hand is shivering or if you're not giving a firm handshake. Okay, it is a start. I have experienced that with some of the people. They are so uncomfortable to give a firm handshake. It's okay. I mean, that is what you are. Be yourself, right? Go on, try to make handshake with, in the first event, go on, push yourself to handshake with at least like 10 people or 20 people, whatever is the number that is comfortable to you. Okay, you have done handshake with them and you have said yourself. Prepare an elevator pitch of yourself. We prepare the elevator pitch for the companies that we work for, right, Prafulla? We
Yes,
don't
yes,
really
yes,
have that kind of time with the candidate. We try to work and rework on the pitch, what really attracts the candidate.
yes,
And
yes,
finally, we
yes,
come up with a pitch where, okay, I say these 3 points, and the candidate tell, okay, tell me more. We have been doing that. I mean, most of us don't know what we have been doing. It is there within us. We have been doing for an organization. Why don't we do for ourselves? Come up with an elevator pitch for yourself. Think, what are the things I need to talk about myself to another person which can open the gate. So
yes,
practice. Nothing comes without practice, right? Maybe start making 10 handshakes, and once you're comfortable with that, then the next milestone, okay, I'm going to attend this event and let me make one strong connection. When I'm coming out, I'm going to fix one meeting with the person after this event. So gradually it happens. Okay, someone who is very comfortable, this can, the time taken would be shorter. For someone who is not really comfortable, it might take a little longer. But the first thing is you have to show up. It works for both introvert and extroverts. I was not what I am today. So I had a long journey.
yes. Just to add on this, right, Bharti, I was talking to you a couple of times before, right? Even I was not very comfortable talking in front of camera and all. But
Hmm,
after talking so many times,
hmm.
I'm putting myself there, right? So I'm
Yeah.
used to it. I'm practicing
Yes.
every day. So now it's
Yes.
kind of a flow, right?
Yeah.
And I definitely agree with your point that we create those elevated pitch for our company or candidates. So why can't we create it for ourselves, right?
Yes.
When we are going for an event, that's a very good thing. So just to make the conversation bit lighter, so what do you love to do when you are not recruiting, Bharti?
Reading is something which I really picked up after I attended Jack Canfield's one of the event which happened in 2010 or 2011, Prafulla. I mean, till then, like I was not really a person who was, I was reading, but not really that much. But then, I mean, the attending his event actually made me a person who has been consistently reading for the last 13 years. So some of the books that I have read has helped me to really become a better person, give a better service to the customers, and build one of the very good practice for my own consulting business. And also, I have learned to handle the difficult situations on the business and also on the personal front because of that, right? Like reading has been one of the thing which has really helped me a lot. And spirituality is something which I really started some years ago, and which helps me to be grounded and handle a lot of situations very delicately. And, even the difficult conversations that I have, I mean, if you had spoken to the Bharti in 2012, 2013, right? Like I was from an aggressive person, I've become an assertive person now. Like, I
Okay,
mean,
okay.
I was very aggressive. People were thinking, okay, it's very difficult to work with it because, I mean, I have set standards very high for myself. Okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I was thinking everyone has to work with that bar and everyone has to
that's true.
deliver at that bar. And it was very difficult for the other person to
To
understand
cope up.
she is aggressive because to our expectations are that. But the way that I was putting myself in front of the other people was she is demanding. But that's not, I mean, it is very difficult. It is very different than what you have within you and what you show to the other people. I mean, that was a learning for me to understand what is the difference between being aggressive and being assertive. That has really helped me in my spiritual journey to understand that, and also about the complete human dynamics of it. And I mean, those are the two people. And yes, networking is something which I've been living for a long period of time. Yes,
Sure,
these are
Bharti.
the three main things.
Thank you. So other thing, as an entrepreneur, right, when you start a journey, right, so everything you are involved into, right,
Hmm.
you need to plan everything, you need to
Hmm.
connect with everything, you need to get the things done, everything is oriented, or you have to get involved in everything, right?
Yes.
And like again, like it's very difficult for a startup owner or a founder to delegate the things as well, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
the same whichever you have maintained the standard what you have been delivering, you are
Hmm.
not very sure if that person other person will be delivering on the same standard or not. So
Yeah.
as a person, the reason why I'm asking you this question is I'm currently building a community, right?
Hmm.
And when I'm building a community, I'm on the same path as an entrepreneur. I'm facing the same problem along with my work, along with my family. I'm also doing something for the community, and when I'm doing something for the community, everything is within me, right? I have to plan, I have to get the things done, I have to edit, I have
Hmm.
to make videos, I have to do podcast, I have to plan for other events as well. So it's
Hmm.
very difficult. And how do you manage it as an entrepreneur, and what advice you have for me as well?
Delegation is a hard, Prafulla. I have seen this. I mean, I myself have experienced it, and I have seen that with a couple of founders, not all, couple of founders that I worked with. Like, they always feel that they do the best. Or it was for me also. It is that only I have to source, I have to talk to the candidate first. This is a very good profile, if I give to the recruiter, I don't know how she is going to pitch, and that might close the gate with the candidate. Finding one good candidate is good. If I don't take out that 10-15 minutes of time and give that profile to this recruiter, I will lose that. This was the mindset what I was there in the early time, which I have learned and I have seen in the last 13 years with different startup. Is the first thing is like hiring when you're in the early stage, right? Like, hire people with great attitude and understand what is the aspirations of those people are, right? Like, I mean, if you're picking a person who has a high skill but his aspirations are low, when you are building a team, you need, if you're looking for something bigger, or even to or reach a goal that you are thinking on, and if this person's aspiration is not really matching to the aspiration of your project or the organization that you're thinking on, you're riding a wrong horse. And how much ever you're going to beat that horse cannot really run
Yeah.
with you for the speed that you want. So it is from my experience and my own experience of building my company, and also with the other startups, what I have seen, some of them who are not really great on their skills, who are somewhere close to the skills what you have been looking on, and their aspiration and attitude is very high, right? They have turned out to be amazing. I mean, when I see those kids, or when I've seen those people grown in their career ladder, is this the person that I hired 5 years back? Okay. And also with my own company, right? I always believed in hiring fresher, because I always thought someone who is there already working with another consulting company, they come with their fixed mindset.
Mindset.
And I have my own design of sourcing, right? I have my own framework of sourcing. I did not want someone to come with a fixed mindset, this is the way that I'm going to do. So always, like, I've picked freshers, and the recruiters who have worked with me have been there with some of the very good firms. And I can tell you, from the 25 recruiters that who have worked with me, one girl, her sourcing skills are the way that she talks to the candidate, is exactly like me.
Okay.
People, I mean, one of the thing which I really found in her was like, I mean, communication is something that you can't really teach, right? It wants to build on. If they'll look for these three things, I mean, you can run a marathon.
Yes. And how do you measure your own organization in terms of scaling up, right? Because every organization have to keep sustaining in the ever-changing market demand, right? So how do you scale and how do you cope up with those market demand as well, Bharti?
See, with respect to me on the scaling pace, right? I did not scale my own startup. The reason being, I'll tell you, from 10 to 15, I really had a very big team which was there. At certain point of time, I really felt in the startup, right? Especially in the services business, you need to understand where, as a entrepreneur or as a founder of the organization, you need to understand where are you heading, right? I mean, I started with a passion, and that passion converted into a business, and the numbers increased year on year. And after a couple of years, I was not really able to achieve the numbers that I had kept as goal, right? And I reached a certain point of time where I really thought like my energy is being going on in trying to meet the operational cost what was happening, and I was getting drained off. I mean, the business that I started with so much of aspiration was taking off my energy. And is this the thing that I really wanted? No, this is not the thing. I did not felt that I was working at any point of time. I always enjoyed working, and even today, that's the spirit that I carry. And I have worked for 16 hours, 17 hours without any problem, because I was enjoying doing that. When everyone around me were telling, hardly like we see you always like you've been working or you're outside. No, I never felt that, because I was enjoying what I was doing. But at a certain point of my time, I really felt like, I mean, what is this I'm doing? Then I met my mentors. I had my own one more discovery of myself. Okay, is this the thing that I really enjoy doing? No. What is that I am good at? Okay, these are the things. That's when like I scaled down my startup, and then I started as a lifestyle entrepreneur, where I became a talent advisor for the companies, for the startups. And this journey has been fantastic. Each of the conversations that I have, each of the solutioning that I do, I mean, this is actually giving me a lot of dopamine, lot of serotonin, I can tell you. So scaling up is is not really a success for everyone. You need to
Yes.
understand
Yes.
your business, and as a business owner, what is that you want? If you really want to scale up, equip yourself with that. For me, like, I was the only person at the top, and I had my recruiters. And for some reason, like, I mean, even though I got funded in 2015 from one of the very big business person, but funding is one more different story, right? Like, when someone funds you, they really want you to scale up very fast, and they really want you to do a lot more things. And see, this is where I was very comfortable. Even after getting funding, I was dare enough to tell to the investor that I am not interested in doing all the things that you are telling me to do, because I knew that I did not enjoy doing what I mean. I always enjoyed working with startups. I want to work with the founders. I want to understand what the business is and then deliver that. I was very uncomfortable on taking job descriptions and working on those things, right? Like, I cannot work. I mean, I did not want to work with an organization where there are 100 more vendors working for that. Okay, so I gave back, and I was very comfortable to say no to my investor. Okay, because like, I'm not comfortable to do anything. I mean, I could have scaled up if I would have kept that funding and then worked on the scaling part of it. No, I did not enjoy that. So when you are interested on scaling up, picking the right partners, picking the right investors is very important. When you are scaling up, it is very difficult for one person to manage everything.
Yep.
So you
Yep.
need to bring in leaders who have a similar kind of a wavelength and who believes in the same vision. I mean, sharing the same vision is one more thing which is very important when you're scaling up, because if you bring people with different business interest, different vision, there would be a lot of disargument which would go, and which would be creating a lot of negative energy, and which can actually dilute you from the vision that you have thought on. So
Yes.
during the scaling phase, these are the things which are really very important, Prafula.
And I think definitely like when we see like outside world, right? Most of the time, people try to compare everything, right? So
Hmm.
instead of comparing, what's your positive, what's your negative, what's your vision, what's your mission, and based
Hmm.
on that, we need to take a call, right? Let's say
Yes.
for me, I want to scale up the community, right?
Hmm.
In that case, I need to see different approach. For you,
Hmm.
scaling was not the main purpose. Your purpose
Yeah.
was solving the problem, right? So
Yes.
we need to understand what our aspiration is.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
And
That's
Bharti,
really very essential. Knowing
yeah,
what
and
where you want to be, and understanding your own strengths is really very important.
and when you are an entrepreneur, right? The question which I'm asking, I have asked this question to many founders as well till now in my
Hmm.
podcast, and same question I'm asking you as well. So, as an entrepreneur, how important your family play in your journey, right? Important role your family play in your journey.
I have a great family support. My spouse is, I think so, I'm blessed because, like, I mean, I really did not at a regular time. I mean, when I was actually helping one of the US based companies when I was setting up their entire operations in India, I used to come home at 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. I mean, he has been a great support to me. And I come from a family where right from my grandmother to my mom, my aunts, everyone were working.
Okay.
So that culture was set in my family that okay, women are going to work, and there has to
Yes.
be a balance within the family, right? So I had come with a family which had this kind of a values in them. And my mother and even though my mother was working, my sister was not working. My sister has been my right hand in my entire journey, right? Like, I had my social support in very good place. I mean, as a working woman, whether you're being a employee or an entrepreneur, for you to be successful in your career, one of the thing which is very essential for a woman is having a strong social support at the back of the house. Otherwise, like, it's very challenging for a woman to thrive in their career.
Yes.
So building that, and for all the young women, that is what I tell whenever I meet them: respect the social support that you have in your family, okay? And whatever is possible from your end, you need to support them, because it is because of them that you are able to peacefully work for 8 hours or 10 hours or whatever your role demands. You're able to peacefully deliver that because of the people who are there at home.
Totally agree. So even my wife, she was working, but recently she left her job. But always I try to keep her motivated, inspire her as well, right?
Hmm.
My mom never got the chance to work, but she always
Hmm.
aspired to have the opportunity to work. So from that angle, I always feel that definitely everyone should have their own, like, whatever they want to aspire, right? Whatever they want to do, they should have the opportunity to do that, right? And because of that, I always promote my or support my wife to do whatever she like to do, right? And
Great, Pramila. Great to know that. Like, not every, I mean, she's really blessed.
so even in this community building also, I'm trying to like
Mhm.
support her with different things as well. She doesn't
Mhm.
have the mindset of entrepreneurship, but again, like what we are doing is she get enrolled to NSRCL. I'm Bangalore now, so
Oh,
we are trying
okay.
to get her those mindset. So let's see how things shape up from that angle as well to for this
Yeah.
community.
All the best for her.
Thank you. So other question which I have is now regarding your startups, whichever you have supported. So you have
Mhm.
scaled up teams rapidly at various companies, including
Mhm.
remarkable feat taking optics from 4 to 200 people, which you have mentioned. Like, can you share some of the key strategy or principle that you
Mhm.
have used to make those kind of success? in scaling up the team so effectively?
See, always from the last almost like 5 years, when the candidates dynamics has changed, right? Like it is no more like the candidates are going to pick the offer that you're going to give. When it has become the candidate market, whatever the offer that you give, right? Like it is not 100% sure till the candidate comes and joins on the joining day, right? Whatever the
Yeah,
magic we do,
yeah,
whatever the kind of the process that you follow, you don't know what's the decision the other person is going to make. So one of the principles for the success written by Jack Canfield is very first law. He has written 24 laws. In that, the very first law is take 100% responsibility. Okay, so this is the one mantra which I live by, Prafulla. So when the market dynamics has been changing, as a recruiter, what is that I can do? The only thing I can do is maintain a healthy pipeline of the candidate, right? Whether there is a candidate going to join or not, what is going to save us? Like, okay, we will come to know that okay, there is one candidate who is not going to join on Monday. We are on Wednesday. I have another candidate who is ready, who might join after a 1 month, or he has got an offer, he might join on 15 days. So one of the thing which really helped me at to scaling in various startups was sourcing is one of the very essential step which is going to take care of everything. I mean, I actually moved out. My 100% focus was on sourcing till the candidate come at the bottom of the funnel, because the coordination part, the candidate experience part, if you are able to have good coordinators who understands the human relationships, okay, who are good relationship builder, are the people who have to be there in the center of the funnel. Okay, in the sourcing, if you are able to create the persona of the candidate who is a right fit to join your organization, do the do those attributes in the initial pace itself and source only those candidates, right? I mean, it could be different channels, it could be different means, whatever the techniques that you are going to use. But if you are creating the proper persona of the candidate and bringing them at the top of the funnel, obviously when it is going down, right, there might be candidates who might be missing because of the offers numbers, but then someone who actually is a right fit to your organization, they getting rejected technically, they getting rejected because of the attitude, they getting rejected because of different aspirations that they have, will not be there. These are the things which we as a recruiter can really control on,
yeah,
right? But whatever we are not magicians, we can't really do any magic to make the candidate join. Give the best candidate experience, write your candidate experience process very well, make your team to actually implement that 100%. At any point of time, be authentic on what the company is, what the company is offering, and what is that they can give, and ensure to give a proper attitude training even for the interviewers, because as a startup, people will join for whatever the product and the domain that you are. At the end of the day, they need to work with the people, right? So the
yes.
interviewers are also a great influencers for the candidates to join. They should also give the similar kind of an experience to the candidate for them to feel, hey, these are the people that I'm going to work with. So I mean, the interviewers have been a great influence in my previous company for the candidates to join, because after the interviews, like when I actually ask my coordinators to capture the feedback, I mean, that has been one of the very big takeaway in our entire process. Informing the candidates that whom they are going to talk with, who is the interviewer, how long he's been there, for which function he's been working, which product is been working. Educate the candidates also about like where they are going, how the interview process would be, is really essential. I mean, I have made a practice of negotiation to be very minimal at the bottom of the funnel, Prafulla. So I've been very upfront in my discovery call when they throw out the numbers. Like I'll specifically ask them the questions on why they are looking, what they are looking, and I've been very upfront. These are the numbers which is not possible. If you want to go, come for the call, or you take up the discovery call with my leader was taking the managing director was taking the very first call for all the candidates profile. He has been a wonderful hiring manager, I can tell you. Every call that I schedule, the first discovery call is with the managing director. For some of the candidates where I really felt, okay, he is a good candidate, but his numbers are very high, or I have a doubt on his attitude, I used to put it across to him. And there are so many cases like where the candidates after speaking to him have changed.
Yes.
Right. So it is these are the skills as a recruiter you need to work on. What are the things that you can control? And don't try to be bothered much on what you cannot control.
Totally agree. With interest of time, I have three more questions for you, right?
Yeah.
So you mentioned about negotiation skill, which is definitely a must-have skill, I would say, for all the recruiters, right? So what is the best way to have this negotiation skill in your complete journey?
One is the numbers, right? And understanding the candidates also is very much important. See, just yesterday, like I was there negotiating with a candidate who is there in Gurgaon and he wants to relocate to Bangalore, right? So the first discovery call, what you have with the candidate, it is not a discovery call just to understand about his skills. It is also to understand his other attributes on the family, whether his or her spouse is working or not,
Working
and
on
what
it,
is
yeah.
at what stage of life they are in, okay, and why do they want to come in here. And I always tell, I mean, numbers is something which is really very important, but we cannot really change the numbers, right? I mean, today, like maybe at the max, we can go 1 lakh here and there, but not really much, right? Because,
And
like,
not
as
every organization might have that opportunity as
yeah,
well.
might have that, right? Always try to sell the opportunity than the monetary numbers.
Yes,
You
yes.
understand for that, like you as a recruiter, you need to understand. This is the reason if on the first or the second question you asked, right? Like me as a recruiter, I try to understand what is the role of this particular job going to influence the business, right? So for a candidate that I'm hiring, I said him, you are part of their journey of scaling up. You have worked with the startup and you have built the apps from the startup to the scaling, but then building the features during their scaling pace is a different kind of a skill that you really require at this point of time. And you are going to join this organization for this particular function, and this is the kind of the opportunity that you are going to have. You are in the middle of your career, right? And if you are, I mean, the ladder up is free, right? And if you are able to exhibit these kind of skills, it is very very transparent for you to move to the next role along with your engineering skills. So
Yep.
understand the aspiration, understand the position of this particular person for the business, and why he has to join, what are the things that he is going to learn, and with whom he is going to work with, right? So always sell the opportunities. And number game is something none of us can do it. You can try to understand on those and tell, okay, you're moving here from Gurgaon to Bangalore, you want to move. What is most important for you at this point of time? Your wife is supposed to join at on November, and you really want to have an offer by then, and you also want to move along with her here. So that is your priority. You have got just raised 10 months back, and how good is it for you to ask 40% on that, right? You look at how the market is today. Getting an opportunity itself is difficult, and I understand you're moving from Gurgaon to Bangalore, but why are you moving? Okay,
What is the purpose?
you might get an opportunity with 100% hike in Hyderabad. Are you going to move to Hyderabad? For you to get 40 or 50% hike in Bangalore, you may have to wait for 6 months. Do you have that kind of a time? And here I'm presenting you an opportunity like this, which can give you a decent hike from what you're been drawing, okay, within the band of what the organization is having, which is also meeting your personal goal, what is there. And 2 or 3 years, you can, within the organization, you can move here, and you're working in one of these domain which is hot. Even if you work 2 years here, the kind of the experience that you're going to get can be equivalent to 4 years of experience working in a larger organization. So these are the things. Monetary thing would not really help you to win the race most of the time,
That's true.
because
That's true.
as you know, right, like you give 1 lakh, there is another company tomorrow,
Other
after one
company will, yeah.
after 1 week. I mean, we all have experienced and we have done
Yes,
that,
yes.
and that is the learning. After 1 week, he'll come again. Okay, there is another company which gave me 2 lakhs. Now I'm really there in a dilemma. I like your company, but there is a 2 lakhs. I have my financial goals which I have to meet. So you help me to make a decision. So this is what happens.
Sure, sure. Thank you for sharing your negotiation pointers or how some of the examples which you gave. I am definitely sure that it will be useful for lots of recruiters out there. So you also mentioned about spirituality, right? I personally am a very spiritual person. I believe in God. I believe in lots of different gods as well. And whenever I get time, I go to temple and other places as well. And I also believe in gratitude, and most of the
Mhm.
time I thank universe for
Mhm.
whatever things I have got today in my life, and whatever life I'm living, right? I always try to thank universe as well for whatever,
Yes.
for health and all the abundance things, food
Mhm.
and everything, right? So
Mhm.
how did your spiritual journey started, Bharti, and what have made you realize that you have to be really spiritual?
See, this was like 4 5 years back, right? Like, I'm a very career oriented person and always want to be there on the run, always been there on my treadmill most of the time, right? Like at some point of time, like I really felt, where am I heading to? Because there is so much of burden that I was carrying, Prafulla.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
always thinking everything is there on me, everything I need to do. Okay, only if I am the only person who can do this. There is no other thing. Why the people around me are not understanding? So that's the time I was really in a very confused state and mentally very bad state, I can tell you. I have one of my very good friend who actually, I follow my guru Paramamsa Yogananda. So she actually took me to the ashram, which is in Indranagar. She said, like, you just come. I mean, till then, Prafulla, when everyone said me to meditate, I said I can't close my eyes. I never believed that today I sit for day long meditation. And way back then, like I thought like I can't really close my eyes. She said, like, you just keep coming. She took me one day, she made an effort to call me every time there was long meditation. I said, like, I can't really sit. People are so silent in their meditation. I feel that I'm disturbing them. You don't you I can't really sit. But then, like, she said, you come and sit, and there are lessons of guru. She said, like, in case if you can't close your eyes, you just sit and read. Reading you can do, right? Yeah, I can read. I started from there. Today, like, I spent just last week, I said you right, like 1 week, I spent my time in Ranchi ashram without my laptop, without my phone, only in the morning. Like, I used to call my home and then tell that I'm good. Otherwise, the whole day, I mean, apart from my small breaks, I spent 1 week completely in my meditation. And it
Uh,
gives lot of peace, right? Like, all of us as a human, we think like we are, I'm responsible as a wife, I'm responsible as a mother to someone, I'm responsible as a daughter to someone, and I'm responsible as a recruiter to someone, right? Like, we all, especially in our work life, we have so much of stress for the action of the other people, right? If candidate doesn't join, you know, like, we have answerable to everyone in the organization. From the engineering side, person will come, oh, we have short of hand, and you were telling that this candidate is joining and is not joining. On the other side, business will come, oh, this person has not joined. I mean, we have gone through all those conversation. We are always been in a zone where, why I am responsible for all this. And sometimes like we have felt like what I have done. I mean, I gave best to the candidate. I have given the best match to the hiring manager. Even then they are not appreciating what we have done since the candidate has not joined. Whatever the hard work I've done in the last 3 months, it has gone on vain. And I mean, there is a lot of things even on the business side. Like I really felt today, I mean, I'm least bothered. I believe whatever I'm going to get, I'm going to get. Okay. And
Yes.
one thing which I don't really compromise is whatever I agree on, I deliver that. Whenever it is not possible with me or I want and help, I ask that genuinely and I comfortably say no. And I am authentic to the people that I work with.
Sure. And thank you, Bharti, for being authentic in our conversation as well, and sharing your heart out. And with this last question, which I have as promised, so as an entrepreneur, as a recruiter as well, what advice you would like to give our recruiters friend or aspiring recruiters or aspiring entrepreneur as well? Because you are being part of many women entrepreneur space as well or any other forum as well. So I definitely want this platform where we can inspire other people as well, right? And we know that there is a huge gap in terms of diversity and other things as well. And I personally, as a recruiter, see those gaps, and I believe that there are lots of things we can do. And because of that, your advice will be really valuable, Bharti.
To be an entrepreneur, the first thing is which I have followed and here now and then, like I have experienced, is the first thing is the financial commitment. I mean, if you are starting your journey as an entrepreneur, like at least depending on whatever the business that you are starting, there is X number of years. You should not really expect anything. Your life should not get disturbed. Okay, if your
Okay.
spouse is working or you have made enough savings which can take care of the day-to-day activities of your life to live a normal life, not all the luxurious thing whatever you were doing when you were earning, at least to meet the ends and what are the necessaries to take care of that. There has to be enough fund which has to be there. Financial burden should be zero on the mind because when the financial burden comes up, okay, your focus will deviate. You start to think on, okay, if I do this job, will I get money? If I do this job, I'll get the money only after 6 months or a year. Let me not try this. Let me go and look for an opportunity which can give me a fast cash. So I mean, financial thing, the number one thing is the financials has to be taken care. And being an entrepreneur is not easy choice. The people around you should understand that you are moving from an employee or from a student to an entrepreneur, and you cannot, I mean, most of the time you cannot be normal as an employee the way that you were being part of everything, having that luxurious sometimes 8 hours or 9 hours of sleep or 10 hours of sleep every weekend, going out, right? All those things, some of the things which has become a part of our lifestyle today. And as an entrepreneur, it was for me, my, of course, I mean, it was after a very long period of time, I thought like it came to me that I should give time to my family also, which I really did not do in a correct way during my initial phase of my journey, because the only thing which was there in my mind is to be successful in what I was doing, right? And for that, like, you really need to make the people around you understand what is the journey that you're going to have in the next couple of years, right? For that, like, they need to understand, okay, why as a son or daughter you're not available all the time, or as a spouse you're not available all the time. So you need to make them aware. Otherwise, like, it is not going to be a easy journey,
Easy.
because something goes wrong at the home, you are gone, right? So that is the second thing which you really need to set on. And the third thing is, like, whatever the business that you're going to start, you should know the delivery of that very well. I mean, especially in the service business, which I have experienced, and I have seen why a couple of companies have failed in front of me, where I knew the founders very well. The main thing was the delivery was screwed. Okay. And I've seen some of the product companies where they have built a product, but the customers are not ready to use that product, right? So you need to have those time and set those expectation and be calm. Being calm and having right people in your team, okay, is the next step on the business side of it. Okay. And having clear idea to a certain level, having clear idea on what is that I can do and what is that I cannot do, and who are the people that I need to bring in who can do that. Okay. And you really need to be like a captain of a ship who is focused on driving the ship to the port that you want
Destination.
to be. At the same point of time, you need to understand the climatic change which might happen in the market, within the company, everything. But if you are not calm enough, you don't know where your ship is going to sail. So having that calmness is really very important.
Great. So we have crossed more than what's expected in terms of times. But thank you, Bharti, for everything you have shared. It was a wonderful discussion with you. Lots of insights we have taken, and I'm very happy to know you personally as well. We have spoken
Yeah.
earlier, but again, like it was much more detailed. So thank you
Yes.
for sharing those insights, and
Mhm.
I'm sure that this podcast will be really helpful for our audience,
Mhm.
entrepreneurs as well, who aspire to
Mhm.
be entrepreneurs, plus
Yeah.
the recruiters who want to be successful in their journey. With this,
Yeah.
thank you, Bharti, for your
Thanks,
time and
Prafula.
really appreciate
Thank you so
everything.
much. It was really a wonderful conversation. You took back to my memories.
Thank you. Bye. Once.
Thank you.